All right, while we're waiting on David Hayes to connect to the internet, we're going to go ahead and get started with our recording of episode number 28 of our Trifecta Sports podcast. My name is Frank Spencer. I'm with Jacob Connor. David Hayes will be joining us shortly. He's been in and out of the program trying to get things worked out. So a little technical difficulty on David's end. What else is new? So we're going to move into today's show, and we got a packed show for you today. We're going to talk about waiver wire targets for next week, and then players you should probably think about benching. That's just me. Really quick, before we hit the intro button here, I am going to win my fantasy football matchup this week, but I benched Cole Kmet and started Gerald Everett, and Cole Kmet then outscored Gerald Everett. So this is the weirdest fantasy football season I've ever been a part of so far. So with that being said, we're going to get on to the show. All righty, episode number 28. I'm here with Coop again. Again, if you just tuned in, David Hayes is with us. Just having some technical difficulties. He'll pop in and out, hopefully. I would like to give a quick shout out to all of our people that have subscribed to our YouTube channel the last 28 days. Our YouTube channel has drastically pretty much doubled in size, and it's all because of you guys subscribing and supporting our channel. So if you want to, if you like what you hear, like what you see, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're new to it. Hopefully, first comment of the day, Keith Hall says, my Raiders sucked again. Hey, it's okay, man. It's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with the team struggling out of the gate. I'm a Bengals fan. I know how it feels. But other than, a couple of, it's like 6 points keeping us from being 3-0. But it's a long football season. A lot of stuff happens between now and the end of the year. So, we're going to go ahead and get into the show. If you got fantasy football questions, go ahead and shoot them our way in the chat box. We will answer them live. It will be recorded on our podcast episode as well. There is David. He is here. Don't know if he's going to be here for very long. David, how are you doing, buddy?
For guys, but I hear you.
Okay, well, that'll work. It might even itself out here in a little bit. David is fresh off a trip from Hawaii. He's probably still very, very tired, if I had to guess. But we're going to go ahead and get into the show. We've all kind of gathered up our picks for waiver wire pickups this week. I don't know what you guys base your decisions on, but I base my decision on basically people that were less than 50% rostered. Some of them probably shouldn't. They should probably definitely more 50% rostered before today. But as I checked like 20 minutes ago, these guys are rostered on 50% of teams. And I've got 4 names here, and we'll just rattle back and forth. The first name is probably a no-brainer for most people. And in our league, he's not a free agent, but in your league, he might be, is Khalil Herbert. Huge week this week. He's only rostered, according to Fantasy Pros, in 49% of leagues. Had a huge game. Montgomery is nursing an injury, and I know that because he had 11 yards, had 1.1 fantasy points or something like that. Hurt early in the game. Herbert came in, took over the load, had over 150 yards rushing, I believe. And quite frankly, Chicago just doesn't throw the football. We've already talked about this a ton. Chicago will not throw the football to anybody, regardless of how good they are. They're going to be a ground team. So if they're a running back in the Chicago Bears offense, pick them up if you don't have them already.
That's not going to change either. Like you said, no. They're 2-1.
Yeah.
Why would they go away from it? Herbert looked great. The last 2 running backs to put up 150 yards and 2 touchdowns were Matt Forte and Walter Payton. Those are the last 2 Bears running backs to do that.
That's pretty good company to be in.
Yep.
Coop, who's the guy that you think that most people should look at into picking up this week?
Kind of same scenario. He's not available in our league of note. Dave actually has him, but Romeo Doubs from Green Bay. Tampa Bay has a good defense. The Packers it's just been, the entire wide receiver room has been a question mark, but Rodgers was looking for him, and he caught every pass. So I think even as the injuries clear up, as Lazard continues to get healthier, Watson comes back, Watkins is on IR, I think that he looks like Green Bay's number 1 going forward.
Yeah, I have him on my list too. So He's actually my second player to pick from. You know, he's rostered in 25% of the leagues right now. Like you said, we have a pretty large league, so you know, not a lot of these guys are going to be rostered in ours. He led the Packers in targets, 22.8% target share there. So a lot of value in Romeo Doubs right now, especially with the, I would call it inexperience at receiver in Green Bay, but also the ineffectiveness of people catching passes up there. I mean, with that being said, David, if you can participate, who's a guy you think you should pick up on the waiver wire this week?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're a little choppy. Hopefully the viewers don't mind. Dave lives in Illinois, fellas. There's nothing but corn out there, so internet's a premium.
I don't. Oh, this is pathetic. All right, so the one guy I can't believe he's on the waiver wires. He's only rostered in 37% of leagues, even though I told to use their last round pick on this guy. I told you Dalvin Cook is going to hurt at some point, and he did. Alexander Madison is going to be and go ahead and get him. They said Cook is day for your stud.
Dave, we're struggling, buddy.
The report came out that multiple teams trade for him in the preseason. Going to be
all right. Excuse David's technical difficulties.
Try cutting your video off. See if that helps your connection.
Did you?
I couldn't hear a word you said, David. I'm sorry.
We got the first part.
We got Alexander Madison for sure.
Yeah.
But you look pretty over there. I will say that. I'll say I'm about to start the hashtag Get David Good Internet. I feel bad for the guy, honestly, too. We make fun of him all the time, but you know, it happens. So he was talking about Alexander Madison, and David has hit the nail on the head there. From what I understood of him, you know, he's very, very high on Alexander Madison, and we know Dalvin Cook has injury issues periodically throughout the week. If you're looking for a plug and play next week, Alexander Madison is probably at the top of my list. Probably going to be in many people's waivers. We already talked about Khalil Herbert, not really going to be in anybody's, probably not going to be in most people's waiver wires, but Romeo Doubs definitely going to be in one. Another guy I'm going to throw out there, and it's probably my last two are going to be really big dark horses in the league right now. You're looking at maybe picking them up if you have like an injury spot, or you know, a pretty weak guy on the bench you don't care to get rid of and just hope something hits. Zay Jones from Jacksonville had a huge week this week. He's only rostered in 10% of leagues. He had 11 targets and 10 receptions last week. And Trevor Lawrence is looking better every week. They're 2-1. They're looking to spread the ball out to all of their athletes. You know, Christian Kirk and James Robinson are the primary receivers and running backs or playmakers in that offense. They're looking for somebody else to come along. And from what I saw last week, Zay Jones could be that guy. So probably worth a mention, maybe worth a look in the next couple of weeks, seeing what he does. Put him on your watch list and make sure nobody else picks him up if he has another good week next week.
Yeah, that whole Jacksonville offense has been better than expected, with the exception of Travis Etienne. Even Evan Ingram at tight end, he's playable right now. I agree with you. I think it's a good call. And the way Lawrence is playing and Peterson is calling plays, they can sustain two wide receivers. Like, you rostering Zay Jones says nothing about your confidence in Christian Kirk. He's a top 20 wide receiver going forward. One more name I'll throw out is Jamal Williams in Detroit. He's 44% rostered in ESPN leagues. That might be a little different on Fantasy Pros. They usually have more, what do we call them, sharp leagues that they deal with, and Jamal Williams probably rostered a little more there. But he has standalone value. He doesn't need to be a handcuff, right? He's not waiting on DeAndre Swift to go out. And we know Swift is banged up. He's a little bit limited, but Williams is still the heart and soul of that team. We saw that in Hard Knocks, and it's translated to the field. Like, they trust him with some important downs, and he's going to be involved no matter what. Another offense that's looking better than expected. So
yeah, for
Jamal
sure.
Williams
had a huge week last week. And then, with DeAndre Swift nursing that shoulder injury, I read something today that they're thinking about maybe asking him and to take a couple weeks off going into the bye week next week and then the bye week and then try to get healthy. So if you're looking for a plug and play really quick to try to win you a game, Williams from Detroit is probably a really good pickup. You're going to have to excuse Dave coming in and out. He's having some internet issues. If you guys have joined us, and we're going to try to get him involved. We missed Dave. We've been 2 weeks without him now. He's been in Hawaii. So we're going to try to get him in here and get him involved. If you guys are watching, you have fantasy football questions, send them our way. We'll answer them live on air. And then you're also going to be included in our podcast because we're currently recording our podcast as well with this show. One last super dark horse waiver wire pickup for me is going to be Mac Hollins in Vegas. And here's why. I don't go off of one single week worth of work, especially on a team like the Raiders who haven't done much. But he's rostered in 1% of leagues. 8 targets in week number 2. 10 targets in week number 3 for 158 yards and a score. Probably one of the top scoring wide receivers in all of football last week. I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty guaranteed in the top 10.
He was second behind Devonta Smith.
Okay, second overall. That doesn't happen by accident, in my opinion. I know that they have some injuries going on. I know Hunter Renfrow is out. He's in concussion protocol. He was out this past week, which is probably why you saw Hollins get so much volume. But Hunter Renfrow played in week 2, and Hollins had 8 targets then too. So the targets are there. It's just the overall production. It might be a boomer bust type situation, but it is somebody to keep your eye on. If he can continue to do this and get 6 or 7 plus targets a game, Hollins could be a very, very dark horse alongside Devontae Adams out there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and they're not the same type of receiver. I think that's important to point out. Like, his usage is not necessarily taking the same role as Renfrow. He may be getting prioritized in the route tree a little more, but Matt Collins is 6'4". Like, that body's not going away when he's giving you production. Hunter Renfrow's 5'10". He's a short yardage. He's a slant guy, slot guy. So I think that's a great call, Frank.
Yeah, we got a couple comments in here. I popped Josh's comment up earlier, but I'm going to talk about this really quick. And he says it's a terrible offensive week, and his fantasy team's shown it. Bad week. For me, honestly, it's been a good week. I have Lamar Jackson went off. A good thing is right now we're seeing a shift in a lot of NFL powers. The Bills are still really good. The Dolphins have come together and come to life. Notice our color scheme today is centered around the Miami Dolphins in honor of Tua and the horses he has down there throwing the ball to. Unbelievable start to the season. We could probably go with dark green for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're in the same boat as the Dolphins. Great receiver play, great running back play, and great quarterback play, as a matter of fact. I think Tua's taken that little off-season doubt a little serious. He's trying to prove people wrong. The dude almost got knocked out, and somehow they convinced people to put him back in the game.
Back spasms. He wasn't concussed.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, Dave.
Nice.
Dave's been fighting this thing for like the last 20 minutes. You look so good.
Oh, no. I've been fighting this shit. Terrible.
I will say this: it's better. It's a little delayed, but we'll deal with it for now. It'll come together. You look good. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Josh says that can the Cardinals get together when Rondale Moore and D-Hop come back? If not, Kyler will never hit his ceiling. You're exactly right. I will put a lot of the pressure on Kyler Murray right now because he doesn't have his top 2 receivers. Defensively, they're also without J.J. Watt as well. So, not that he makes a huge difference.
I think James Conner is really the only Cardinal that you drafted that you're upset with right now. Marquis Brown's wide receiver 9 through 3 games. Kyler Murray's QB 7. Like, Brown is overproduced because nobody was taking him as a top 10 wide receiver. You were thinking, somewhere in the 20s probably. And Murray was in that 5 to 8 range in most rankings. He was outside the big 4, but he was kind of in the conversation of the next guys right there with Jalen Hurts, who has overperformed. So if they take any step forward, it's going to be great. James Conner's really the one that I think has let people down. And some of that's his health. If he can get healthy, like you said, the receivers come back, the offense is going to look a lot better. Can't say anything positive about the defense, though.
All right, Dave. We've talked about a couple of names. I don't know if you were listening. You mentioned Alexander Madison. We threw out Romeo Dobbs, Zay Jones, Mac Hollins. Cooper, did you have anybody else that I'm forgetting?
We had Khalil Herbert and Jamal Williams as well.
Yeah. Is there anybody on your list that we did not name that you think would be a good waiver wire pickup this week?
2 guys that kind of stuck out to me and they were still out there was for the Bills. He's only rostered in leagues. I know that's a crap, but you just saw what Josh Allen, 400 yards. Granted, he's going to spread the ball around. It'd be Diggs, Mckenzie, Blanken, or Gabriel Davis, solid pickup. And when you're facing a bad, he might be a deep flex guy for you who's playing tonight that I love around. He's only rostered in 13. I think he's a bench guy. What's going to happen with his role once Gallup, depending what try and take Dak's job. If you need wide receiver help, I think he seems to be a good dude down there at least. Maybe not be a touchdown guy. A good start for you if you.
Yeah, if anybody didn't get both those names, that was Isaiah McKenzie and Noah Brown were the 2 wide receivers Dave was breaking down for us.
I believe I picked up Noah Brown last week, if I'm not mistaken. I had to double check. I had no plans on starting him. I just picked him up simply just to see what happens. If he does play really good, then there's some trade value there. I don't think he'll overtake any of the current receivers I do have. But that's a strategy you can use as well, is picking up these guys that are waiver wire targets that have really good weeks, hoping that they continue to hit. And now you're looking for people that are desperate for good wide receivers. Then you can get some more value out of them that way. One of the biggest plays I made this week, and it worked out for me well, is starting Chris Olave. We talked on the Sunday morning stream about a couple of things. And me and Coop, we hit on a lot of good things there on Sunday. We talked about Chase Edmonds going to be a prime for a good day. Chase Edmonds had a good day. We talked about Chris Olave having a good day today or Sunday. Chris Olave had a good day Sunday. Part of it was due to injury, but he was, prime for a breakout game. Who were some other guys we talked about, Coop, that we hit on pretty good?
Rashad Bateman, we had a start-sit question, picked Bateman. He got in the end zone, I believe. We had Jamal Williams mentioned. We did hop up the –
Bateman had a down week this week. He wasn't very good.
Okay. We did call out the pass catchers in the Buffalo and Miami game and hit on most of them, right? Diggs had a solid game. Mckenzie was better than expected. Waddle didn't let you down. Tyree Keel, not the week we were hoping for, but there was still a lot of yards put up in that game, even if there wasn't a ton of points. Like Dave mentioned earlier, Josh Allen just threw for 400 yards in a loss. Like, Buffalo is putting up stats.
Yeah, for sure. Question from Facebook. Brian Wilson said, is it true Lindsay, who is my wife, by the way, did she win your guys' league and never allowed back? That's weak sauce there, guys. She never won the league. She never won the league. She did finish second, though. She was in the championship. And she quit. I don't know if we ran her off, but she hadn't played fantasy football up until this year. And she's just as hype as me on Sundays checking her fantasy leagues. She's like most people had a rough start. I don't know how her game's going tonight. I think she has the Dallas Cowboys defense hoping they don't go negative. So if they don't go negative, then she's going to win this week for her first win of the season.
Should have benched them.
We talked about it. We talked about it actually, and I don't think we never got around to doing that. But it's looking to be like she's probably going to win her game this week. But she's just as into it as we are, and that's funny. And I think she does a pretty good job handling it herself. I very rarely help her. We had a decision to make this week about Justin Herbert. She had Kirk Cousins on the bench. Justin Herbert was, injury related, game time decision to play in the 4:00 afternoon games. Cousins played in the first slate of games. We had to make a decision there, and she's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, I would go ahead and make the switch, and it worked out for the best. So that's the kind of the ways I help her, but she does most of the stuff herself. Josh Weaver says, "Do you worry about Edmonds' uses? He's kind of getting the Edwards-Helaire, high-value touches, no volume. Not sure the production is sustainable." Here's the thing, in my opinion, they're going to have to give it to somebody to run the ball. I mean, I haven't watched Dolphins games, so I'm not like very well knowledge in how they run their offense. I know they've just chuck it to the two receivers they got and maybe to the tight end every now and then, but you're going to have some sort of run game to open that up. What do you guys think? What's your opinion on Edmonds?
I'm not a big fan of him. I look at the stat line here, and I'm pretty sure he had under wrong on that because that was very. But I don't. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the Dolphins and touches, but they will be. You all said he had a productive but amazing game. I think he just had made it an amazing game.
Yeah, I agree 100%. If I have either one of those guys, I'm torn because one, you're right, Josh. They're having RB3 usage right now. You look at the profile; these guys are outside the top 20 in usage where they should be, but they're scoring. They're both, putting up much better numbers. I think CEH is a top 5 running back in fantasy right now. He had 7 carries for 0 yards last week and still had that kind of finish. Yeah. Like, I want out of those guys. The problem is the running back market is absolute trash. There are like no running backs you can rely on. And if somebody has one that's been consistent, McCaffrey's been double-digit points, a Chubb, a James Robinson, you're not getting those guys for Edmonds and CEH. And I don't know that I want, with the way running backs have played so far, I'm not going to give up one of those two that are getting high-value touches and something else. So I 100% am concerned. I want to flip them if I have them. I just don't know that there's the right target in the market right now to do that. Yeah.
When it comes to running backs, I just think of my team specifically, and I had the number 1 overall pick, and I got Jonathan Taylor. He's not done a lot other than game 1. Like, he's, modest. He got a lot of touches, just not a lot of options there for, yards and catches out of the backfield, and not a lot of touchdowns, to be honest with you. So, you're looking at the top overall pick, the best running back in the whole league last year, still struggling this year so far. But I don't know what's going on there. But Leanne talked about the Dallas Cowboys having 5 sacks tonight. Listen, Michael Parsons is a beast. That defensive front can get after somebody. If they could just get a quarterback other than Dak Prescott, that'd be all right. All right, here's a really good question. Now, I was hoping somebody would ask this today. How long do you stick with Eckler? He has been a complete bust. I think on Sunday somebody asked this same question, and I was like, wait. I said, like, wait on him because he's Austin Eckler. He's going to come around. But you would think with Keenan Allen being limited or out, they would rely on him more, but they haven't. So what's the deal there, Coop? I don't know, man.
I think the narrative is wrong on this. I don't think Eckler's been a complete bust. I really don't. He's RB13 right now. You're starting him. He's a starting running back. Like, he is high value. He's still, if we redrafted today, he's going in at least the top 2 rounds, right? Nobody's passing on Eckler at the end of round 2.
No.
He's just not rushing the ball as much. And we knew this coming into the season. He said, I don't want 200 plus carries. Like, I don't want that on my body. I want a career that's going to last. I want the longevity. The team can use me in other ways. I'm really not concerned about Eckler. You know, the same thing I said on Sunday stands pat. He's had double-digit fantasy points every week. And with the season we've had from running backs, that's not bad. Like, you will take that consistency. When you have Jonathan Taylor giving you single-digit points, when you have Najee Harris, another first-round back, just completely disappeared. Derrick Henry had 2 single-digit fantasy weeks to start the season. So it's not just Eckler. It's been a weird year for running backs. But Eckler has been consistent. The passing game usage is still there. They're just lightening his workload on the ground. I think as the Chargers get healthier, he gets better. They're banged up on defense. Herbert has been playing through broken ribs, visibly in pain. Game time decision for injections. Like, things will get better for Eckler. But at RB13, if I have him 3 weeks, double-digit points, I'm not upset with that.
Yeah, man. You brought up the Herbert injury, and it's kind of how Herbert – it's funny. It's kind of how Herbert actually got his opportunity to starting every day. Tyrod Taylor had his rib injury, had the injection, it punctured his lung, and that allowed for Herbert to step right in. Do you think that might have – I don't know if he's gotten the injections yet or not. He might have. But you know that's weighing in the back of his mind, right?
Wouldn't it be a lawsuit going on, right?
Yeah, it would be like
Tyrod
heavy.
just sued the doctor.
Heavy on the back of my mind about that for sure.
I'm going to my own doctor.
They said I'm going to my own, man.
Yeah.
Question from YouTube. We have Kyle Grove here. Full PPR. Kyle, thanks for the comment, by the way. If you've not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We do this every Monday. If you ask us questions, we'll pop it up on the screen. You'll be part of the show. He was offered Mike Evans, Ezekiel Elliott, and Tua Tagovailoa for Mike Williams and James Robinson. Is he crazy for considering this?
This one's hard to answer because of roster construction. You know, not knowing what the quarterback situation looks like. Right now, the way the season has went, I think the best player in the deal is James Robinson. I think rest of season rankings, he's the top guy in this conversation. Evans and Williams isn't that big of a gap for me if they're both healthy, and Mike Evans hasn't been yet. I probably would not flip Williams and Robinson in this situation, but again, it depends on your roster construction and what you need at quarterback. Tua isn't top 5. He had a good week. He's not amazing yet. We need to see more out of him.
Thanks for the comment, Kyle. I agree with that. I'm not a big Ezekiel Elliott fan. Mike Evans, I do like him a lot. The injury concerns are always there, and he's suspended, obviously. So if they have a game with the Saints coming up, you can just bank on him get suspended again because Lattimore's there. I'm getting ready. This reminds me. I'm getting ready to put out a video about the new NFL Pro Bowl games type format. And then one of the options that I picked as, a possible game they could play would be an arm wrestling match. So can you imagine, Marcus Lattimore and Mike Evans toe-to-toe arm wrestling match? People would tune in to watch that. His quarterbacks are Russ Wilson and Carson Wentz are his quarterbacks right now. That's tough.
Yeah, Tua would probably be the starter out of those 3 for me.
Yeah, so if you're looking to upgrade at quarterback while still getting a really good, I'm taking the trade.
Yeah,
I'm taking it.
It's
too.
really close.
I'm taking the trade, Kyle. Do it. Tua it. Take the trade. Mike Whitaker says, Coop. What'd you say, Dave? Say it again.
league is Mike Evans this year, other than the one good game. More Keenan Allen hasn't been on the field. He had to be the dude by himself. Like Mike Evans with Tom Brady throwing to him, and Williams.
Yeah,
I'd say he's going to get you some 20, 25-point games. The only one I don't really like is Zeke there.
But Zeke's still going to be Zeke. He's going to get in red zone touches. If the problem is their offense is not great right now with Dak out, although Dak's not my favorite quarterback of the world, but they do play well when he's in there. Cooper Rush is doing the best he can, but hell, he's Cooper Rush. What else can you expect from him? My coach Whitaker says, Coop, you don't have Eckler on your team, do you?
No, I don't.
Weaver, Russ panic meter at 10.
Have we just absolutely struggling?
Dave, the only person struggling here is you.
I'm not struggling.
You need to bring back the writing signs. Your face looks beautiful, David. Voice, on the other hand, it's cutting in and out.
Yeah, your video's great. Your feed's good.
Let's try this. We're going to mute you. And then unmute. Any better?
I don't know.
No.
Nope, it is not. Dave's doing the best he can, guys. We're going to throw up the hashtag Get Dave Good Internet. He just left us. It's okay. Eventually, he's going to get real mad at us for making fun of his internet. I'm going to tell you a quick story about us in high school one time, and it all has to do with us picking on Dave. We were in geometry class. Do you remember this? It's the only time we ever got in trouble.
Yeah.
We were good kids in high school. We never get in trouble. Me and Coop sat in the back of the class. David was in the chair in front of us. And we kept hitting him with this notebook, and he was sleeping. And he eventually got so pissed off, he turned around, took the notebook, and slung it across the classroom. It whizzed by our teacher's head, and she was the nicest lady in the history of teachers. Would never yell at anybody, but she was so irate at us for doing that. And she said, "Who threw that notebook?" And David said, "I did." And she was like, "David, why would you do that?" And she said, "Because they were hitting me with it and pointed at me and you." We had break detention.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's getting ready to happen. David's about to get mad. Yeah. We're going to bring you back in real quick. Hey, Dave.
No.
Try again.
Guys can't hear me at all.
I can hear you. It's way after the initial mouth movements.
All right. I'll see you boys in the.
Hey, yeah, get on YouTube. I was going to tell him what to do. Dave's going to get on YouTube. He's going to participate via chat. He's going to watch us, and then kind of maybe answer some questions that you guys have, give his opinions, and I'll pop him up on the screen too so we can know. Pate from YouTube, appreciate the comment, Pate. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit us up with the sub. Should I accept Austin Eckler for Debo and A.J. Dillon? I'm saying yes.
He's giving Eckler up.
Yeah, if it's 1 for 2, I'm giving Eckler up for both of those guys. If you plan on, obviously,
Debo
if you got to have room to start them in your lineup, because they're both starters. You got to start A.J. Dillon and Debo if you've got them.
Yeah, Debo alone, I think, has outscored Eckler this year. He's still getting a lot of rushing usage, and with Garoppolo back under center, I think that continues, if not increases. Elijah Mitchell's still out. Ty Davis-Price is injured. So Debo is really the sweetener for me. I'm super high on A.J. Dillon, but he has let down these last 2 weeks. I agree. I would probably take that.
I would say A.J. Dillon has let down, yes, but a lot of that has to do with Aaron Jones' play. And then the wide receivers being out, because A.J. Dillon was really that big power back that they could just hand the ball off in the red zone, and they've not really needed that because Aaron Jones has played so well and can score from anywhere on the field And then we talked about Romeo Doubs earlier, waiver wire pickup if you wasn't tuned in. Those guys are trying to find their way in that offense. The for sure thing in the offense right now is Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon is probably second there. So one of the two, they got to score somehow. They're going to get the ball to their athletes, and those two are the top two. I'm taking that trade, Peyton. Coach Whitaker said Olave has been getting targets. The Saints suck. You're right about that. But he's a beast. Time to play him. I agree. He's going to be starting for me from here on out. Had a really good week for us. Well, for me, I say for us because me and my team are like this, fellas.
Yeah, and Thomas got banged up. Thomas did get banged up.
I actually start in our 2-quarterback league. I actually start Jameis Winston. I don't have another option better than him, honestly. In our waiver wire, there's probably hit and miss options better than him, but consistency over time, I think he's got better weapons to throw to, more opportunities for points. He's going to get some interceptions, but he's a gunslinger, man. It's boom or bust. You're always going to get double-digit fantasy points out of him at least.
Yeah, 100%. 2 weeks with fractures in his back, and he's leading the league in average depth of target. He's throwing downfield. He's
slinging it, dude. That's what he does. That's why, it's the same. It's a Brett Favre concept. Brett Favre, we won't talk about his issues. We might talk about it eventually. One of us probably will do a solo video on it, but I've lost all respect.
Very kind.
I've lost all respect for the man. But he's kind of similar to Brett Favre in the sense that he just throws it down the field looking for his receivers. Most of the time they catch it. Big time opportunity. That's what I'm looking for.
Where he's not like Brett Favre is in the amount of media coverage they got when they stole something. Jameis wins that one by a mile.
I was watching a podcast it's with Saints players. It's with I don't even know what it's called. It's with Cameron Jordan and Mark Ingram, and they said, "All right, James, I got to know. You still eat crab?" He said, "Absolutely." All right, Cooper's going to be on the same page with you with DJ Moore right now. I'll let him give his spiel on DJ Moore. Can't afford to bench him because you never know. Never thought he would beg for Sam Darnold back.
You're 100% right. I have been the lowest on Baker Mayfield on this podcast since we started. I think week 1, I was finding a way to talk bad about Baker.
Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, Coop, but all you guys that are new, first of all, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to say that 1,000 times today. If you go back and listen to our very original podcasts, our YouTube videos, first of all, the quality was crap because we had no idea what we were doing. Hopefully it's a little bit better than 27 episodes ago. But from the dawn of time when the Trifecta Sports podcast has been on, we've been shitting on Baker Mayfield the entire time.
Yeah, the industry was not necessarily high on Baker, but they felt like he was an upgrade at quarterback. That has not been the case. He has killed the careers of many a wide receiver one. Everybody thought that Odell wasn't good anymore. He goes to the Rams and is, in the conversation for Super Bowl MVP after half a season. And now we see what Baker is really all about, and it's about ruining good receivers. I am worried about DJ Moore. You can't drop him. You have too much draft capital in him. His pedigree's too good. He hasn't had a small sample size of being near elite. The only thing keeping him out of top 10 wide receiver in drafts was getting in the end zone. And we thought they were going to be better. They're just not. I don't think it's solely a Baker issue. I think Matt Rule is a pretty terrible head coach as well. He's drawing up his plays with crayons or something because they just do not look good at all. I'm more tore up about DJ Moore than any other fantasy player this year. I really thought he was a top 10 lock. Super excited when I got him in the draft. He is going to my bench. Nobody will trade me for him. I've tried to sell him for everything because I'm really scared of this Baker Mayfield offense.
Yeah. Weaver says that Rule's going to be the first head coach gone this year midseason.
Hackett's giving him a run for his money.
Yeah, I was going to say the Broncos they're looking pretty bad. Weaver has DJ Moore on every team he has.
And I apologize for that. You've been a loyal listener, and I probably own some of that That's on me. I've got him on every team I have as well. I'm just fortunately in a position where I feel confident enough to move him to the bench, and somebody is going to catch more than one ball for 12 yards. That's how I'm looking at it now.
That's what I thought when I benched Cole Kmet, and then he comes and outscores my damn tight end I put in there for him.
22 wide receivers have scored more points this season in a single game than DJ Moore has in 3.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. That's a pretty rough stat. Coach Whitaker says, Jags defense, are they for real? What do you guys think? I like the Jaguars defense. If you've noticed, their draft has been centered around defensive players. We all know Josh Allen's on the team. There's a couple of Kentucky guys on that team as well, just to kind of be a homer. But they can rush the passer. They've got linebackers. They've got the secondary. They've proven that they can play defense in the NFL. They're 2-1. Doug Peterson's already matched the win total from whatever it was that Urban Meyer was doing. So they're already on the upward trend. Trevor Lawrence, as I saw a stat that they were he's compared to Peyton Manning. Is he Peyton Manning? No. But Peyton Manning did have a really, really, really rough start to his career. Similar to, and on a bad team too. Colts were terrible. We could see, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we can start seeing Trevor Lawrence mold himself into a quality quarterback with a consistent head coach, similar to what Peyton had. Doug Peterson is somebody that can step in, be there for a while, and run the organization the way it's supposed to be ran. So I think the defense at the Jaguars, I think the whole team of the Jaguars are going to open people's eyes. I just wish they would throw the ball to Travis Etienne. That's all I wish.
I think they're good. I think that what you're seeing is pretty accurate. I don't think anybody else is going to shut out the Colts this year. That was a little fluky. Justin Herbert was playing with banged up ribs. Keenan Allen was out. So I think they're a little inflated right now. No matter how high I am on them, I'm not playing them against Philly next week. You do not play a defense against Philadelphia this year. They may look better than the Bills. And even though the Bills lost that game against Miami, it wasn't close who looked better. They still are the team to beat in the AFC, in my opinion. I know Miami pulled it off, but they had 285 yards less in that game and still got the win.
Football's a crazy game, fellas.
Jacksonville against Philly.
Here's the thing. What we're seeing right now in the NFL is what I would call something similar that you're seeing in college basketball. You're seeing these teams, there's always a wave of, teams coming from nothing, sort of like the Bengals have, into a quality organization that can compete for a couple of years. You're starting to see these teams that have not done nothing in the recent history. There's also still, the Eagles won a Super Bowl a while back, but up until Jalen Hurts started playing after the Super Bowl, they kind of were in and out. They weren't really in nothing special. But now the Eagles are, top team in the NFC, probably Super Bowl favorites, alongside the Bills. Chiefs, I don't think, are Super Bowl favorites right now. They're the Chiefs. They're going to figure something out. But other than those three teams, I don't know who else can run away with anything.
Yep.
Oh, well. If you guys are watching, make sure, if you have any fantasy football questions, drop them in the chat box below. We're going to answer them live on air. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that now.
Josh, one quick thing on DJ Moore. There's something about the name, I believe, that has cursed him this season. Someone back in the history, the lineage of the surname Moore has done something terrible, and every one of those players has been bad to start the year. DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, Rondo Moore hasn't even got on the field yet. It's just a bad year for Morse. Moore is definitely less right now.
It's the Morse code.
Yeah.
That was a terrible dad joke. I'm sorry. Really good question here from Mike Whitaker from Facebook. He says, 3 weeks in, what 3 players would you guys want on your team you don't have now?
You want me to go first?
I'm going to say, we'll go 1-1 back and forth. Who's your first?
I'm going to go ahead and cheat on my first one. It's not going to be a single player. As many first-round rookie wide receivers as I can get. because every one of them has shown positive things.
Yeah.
Olave has looked great. Drake London is number one wide receiver on his team from day one. Garrett Wilson looks like he's taken that over. We've seen flashes out of Burks. Like, there's so much in the historical trends of first round rookie wide receivers translating into fantasy. I've got one on my team. Frank's got one on his team. Like, we tried to grab those guys late, and that would be the one thing going back in my draft that I would do in those middle rounds, target rookies.
In our league specifically, we have a 2-quarterback league. I'm lucky enough to get Lamar Jackson, who has killed it, top overall fantasy player so far this season. My second quarterback is Jameis Winston. I would have killed to be able to get somebody like Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen's probably out of the question where we drafted. Anybody, Tua, not that bad, not out of the ordinary, and he would probably be better consistently than Jameis. But man, Jalen Hurts has been killing it. That's one guy that I would like. And I will just do a snake draft on the way back around. Stephon Diggs would be at the top of my list right now. I think if I had Stephon Diggs on my team, I'm winning the league hands down.
Amon-Ra St. Brown would be my second one.
It's another good pick. And
he had a monster week last week. I don't think he's going to have many of those. He's not going to have a Justin Jefferson week 1, A.J. Brown going off. He's not that type of receiver. We won't see that a lot, but his consistency is unreal. He had 6 catches this week, and it was the first time in the last 8 that he didn't have 8 catches. Like, that floor, I would just love to build my team around that. And even if we redrafted today, he's probably a second rounder. So to have that as part of your foundation and still reach on somebody you think is a quote unquote superstar in that first round, he's somebody I wish I'd targeted.
Yeah. Guys like Cooper Kupp, obviously we would target those guys, but that's first round draft pick for somebody. Mm-hmm. For me, my last one would, based on my team makeup, I would want somebody like Nick Chubb. Somebody that's just, reliable, consistency, gets a lot of targets and a lot of volume. Nick Chubb would be one of the top, other than my first overall pick of Jonathan Taylor. Like I said, if I had Nick Chubb, I feel like I would be in a really good position right now.
Yep.
Those are my 3.
My last one, which I cheated on the first one. I took, 4 guys. But my last one would be Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the league right now. He's proven everybody wrong, and Andrews is the recipient of it. He is leading the league in catches of 15 or more yards, and he is averaging 9 points more than the tight end 3. The tight end position is just such a mess this year. There's so much positional scarcity that to be able to secure the number 1 player by 4 points a week over Travis Kelce so far, that is a massive advantage going into every week. I mean, you're basically spotting yourself a 10-point lead when you go into a matchup if somebody has any other wide receiver or any other tight end.
Yeah, for sure. Weaver asks, what is one struggling running back you would buy low? And then the same for a struggling wide receiver. But first of all, we got to define struggling. Because technically you could say Jonathan Taylor's struggling right out there. But
yeah. I want to go somebody that's well underperformed.
Middle of the pack.
I think Alvin Kamara is getting way more blame than he should.
That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's lost any of his skill set. I think the offense is more explosive this year, but less efficient with Jameis. His passing game usages went down a little, but he's hurt. I mean, ribs are one thing for a quarterback. He's game time decision. This guy's going to get hit every time he touches the ball. They are definitely being careful. This is your franchise player, your star year after year, perennial top 10, top 5 running back. And right now he's ranked at RB 53. If you can go steal him for somebody that you may be flexing, maybe even an upside bench running back if somebody's desperate, Kamara is a running back I'm trying to get a hold of.
Yeah, this guy's that I'm picking is sort of a middle of the pack guy on a really good team, a 2-1 team actually. But Leonard Fournette has yet to reach the end zone. I'm looking at stats. He had a really good week 1 with 21 attempts, 127 yards. Still no touchdowns though. 13.7 fantasy points. I'm assuming that's standard league. If you switch over to PPR, I would, 15. It's you're looking for a little bit more out of somebody like Leonard Fournette, especially when everybody on that roster is hurt. I don't think you could buy very low on Leonard Fournette, but I do think you might be able to get him off of, take him off somebody's hands for relatively cheap considering. As for a wide receiver, man, do you think Bucs get going when they get their wide receiver core back? Yeah, I do.
I don't, but I had these concerns before the season. I was worried about the inside of the offensive line. I'm worried about what Brady wants to do. And now everybody's banged up. Like, they may get a little better, but they're not going to be the Tom Brady that set career highs in passing yards last year. They're not going to be those Buccaneers.
I don't think they're going to be Super Bowl contender Buccaneers, but I think they're going to be competitive. The reason they're going to be competitive is because their defense is going to keep them in a ton of games. So they're going to have opportunities. The problem is there's so many of them, and Tom Brady does that sometimes, man. He just got Cole Beasley. And I'm not sure how many targets Cole Beasley got, but I watched the game and I can think of 3 or 4 right off the top of my head. And the dude don't even know the plays. So he's going to find ways to get guys the ball. But as far as a wide receiver, I don't know. I have to look that up real quick.
I've got one. I'll go ahead and
Coop.
Start on that while you're looking, Frank. I'm going to look at Keenan Allen. And he's only underperformed because he's been injured. But that doesn't matter. If they're putting up zeros on somebody else's team, a lot of times people are ready to move on. I think I'm super high on the Chargers. I think they've had a rough start. If they can get healthy, when they get healthy, they're going to be a super effective offense. Dave pointed out earlier, Mike Williams is not a guy that they can lean on. He's a big play receiver, and he needs Keenan Allen in the offense to give them that. Allen is the 100-catch guy for them. He's not going to hit that mark this year after missing 2 games, but Keenan Allen is somebody, I think, because of those 2 zeros for the season, you can go make your pitch that he's wide receiver 95 because he is just from missing those 2 games. He's somebody that I would like to get a hold of.
I'm torn between 2 picks right now. I'm looking at Adam Thielen. I'm looking at CD Lamb. The reason being is, Dak will come back. CD Lamb, he's playing tonight. I have him on my team. I'm going to win the game. I'm not really sure of his stats yet. I haven't looked at it in a while. So if somebody wants to hoop me up in the comments and tell me how CD Lamb's doing or what the game's like, let me know. But CD is not always going to be receiving footballs from Cooper Rush. Dak will come back. He will be priority number 1. If you can find a way to get him, he said you wouldn't be looking at CD if you were watching the game. Well, I'm trying to explain myself. If you don't have CD and you can find a way to snag him away from somebody, you could probably get him really cheap right now. But he's a guy that's going to be toward the end of the season can help you win a league, and that's why I haven't really given up on him yet. But that's just me.
Yeah, the
drop
pro
CD
case I'll make for CD. He had 22 targets through the first 2 weeks. Like, he's still the guy that they're looking at most. 7 targets in this game. I saw 1 drop before we got on. Sounds like it wasn't the only one. He's only got 4 catches, but he's the one they've got the draft capital in. They let Amari Cooper go because they had confidence in him. They knew Gallup wasn't going to be there to start the season. It's another health thing, right? When Dak gets back, CD has a completely different outlook, completely different value, and that could be sooner rather than later.
That's my thoughts. That's why I've been offered trades for him. That's why I'm kind of holding on to him and DK Metcalf, because DK did have a decent week last week with a score. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I can hold off so long because I've got really good receivers and a couple of guys that I can throw in the flex that, if CD does, drop off the face of the planet and not give me anything to help me, then I can bench him, save him until he comes back, maybe flip him for somebody, even better or more consistent that I can go right now. CD Lamb's my pick. Adam Thielen probably a close second. I just think that he's going to be more involved than what we've seen so far. All right, our dude Millie Mills, welcome back to the stream, dude. Long time no hear from. Week 2, he traded Najee and Pickens for Patterson and Bateman. The way it looks now, I won that trade.
Yes, you did.
Did you ask us that question? You asked us a lot of questions, with your rosters there. I don't know if you asked us that question and whether or not we picked you to make that trade or not, but
in week 2, I don't know that I would have gave you the correct advice, but 100% agree that the way it looks now, you did win that deal.
I've never been high on Pickens.
No, it's Najee for me. I mean, after that first week, I would have been like, let's wait and see. But now we have seen.
Coach Whitaker says, how many weeks does Trubisky have left? I don't know, man.
When's the bye week?
Not
they have
long.
A home game after the bye. I think that's it.
They're already starting to chant Kenny Pickett's name in the crowd. Well, hell, the Jets were chanting Mike White's name last week for the Bengals.
Mike White threw for 400 yards last year.
Yeah, he beat us. He said that Millie said that we told him to make that move. Hey, you're welcome. We did something cool. That deserves a sub from everybody watching. He said, what are your thoughts? Traded Amon-Ra and Miles Sanders for Hurts and Javonte Williams.
I like Williams a lot better than Sanders. So that was definitely an upgrade at running back. The other one just kind of depends on your depth. Both those guys have been studs. I
don't think you lose that trade for sure. No. Especially for Hurts. If you need a good quarterback that's going to be solid every week, Jalen Hurts is the guy. He's already proven it for 3 weeks in a row on probably the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. St. Brown is really, really solid. Going to continue his career in the next few years, being a first-round draft pick probably in everybody's fantasy leagues. Right now, I mean, if you needed a quarterback and could afford to give up St. Brown, I don't think losing Miles Sanders is going to be a big deal for you if you got Javonte Williams in return. I think that's it, at least bottom dollar. You've made your points per week better.
Yeah, and one thing to call out here, the draft capital on these guys is drastically different. What you had to pay to get Hurts and Williams was a much higher round premium than what you got Amon-Ra and Miles Sanders for. That's why the draft is so important. If you can find those values, they can either produce for you or you can flip them for what your team needs. I know Javonte Williams, he was a end of the second, early third round guy. He was RB12.
Weaver asked, he said, what round does Najee go in if the draft were in week 4? I'm saying round 4. Maybe 3.
Maybe. No, I'm
really?
4 might be, they look terrible. They've cut down his snap share. He's less efficient than he was in a super inefficient season last year. Trubisky's not checking down to him. The defense isn't as good now. I mean, TJ Watt, they lost Defensive Player of the Year. I think round 4 might be too high for Najee.
I'm thinking round 4.
If you're looking for a deep sleeper, Jalen Warren is somebody to pick up. He has looked better every time he's touched the ball than Najee. If he keeps getting more opportunities or if Najee gets hurt, he probably will be, flex relevant.
That's exactly, y'all, same idea, man. I think y'all are connected. Really quick, I missed this comment. And David Hayes' mother has listened to every single one of our podcast episodes every week. And she has commented on Facebook and says, how would you all score Josh Allen's gritty scale of 1 to 5? I didn't see Josh Allen's gritty, but I know he could probably do one. It's got to be better than Mike Gesicki's.
That's why they're not throwing him the ball. It didn't make sense until now.
They don't want him to dance. I would put him somewhere in between Mike Gesicki and Mac Jones. Mac Jones is pretty good. Uh, going back on Millie, he said he was in dire need of a quarterback because he staked at wide receiver, got London, Higgins, Robinson, and Bateman. All right, then you're good, man. I like it. You got plenty of depth there, dude. Especially you got depth for wide receivers and flexes. He's Josh better than Kenzeki. Yeah, I mean, you're literally you can run the podcast at this point. Oh yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, man. I say about 45 times. We're closing in on an hour. If you guys have any more questions and want to throw them out there, it don't have to be football related. Just a quick heads up. I know I've started doing some solo videos in terms of other concepts of going on in the world of sports apart from fantasy football. Our podcast is geared more toward fantasy football right now. It is going to transfer out of there eventually. Coop's going to probably stick to the football NFL world for the most part. So we're always going to have some topics about football on our podcast. But I've got a YouTube video on there right now, posted last week about the new college football playoff and what my opinions are on it. So if you guys want to go check out that video, that'd be great. Give it a comment, share it with your friends. I got one coming out in the next couple of days talking about the new NFL Pro Bowl format. Hopefully that's kind of entertaining for you guys. Just something really quick, just to kind of get some more content out there weekly, and it's kind of fun for me to do. I think Coop's planning on doing some as well. We would love to have David on eventually. Since the dawn of the podcast, we've had some issues with David and his internet connections. So, that's something we'll live with because we love him, and we're going to continue to have him on no matter if he's pixelated or not. Yeah, Millie, we go first of all, Sunday mornings at around 10 o'clock. We go live before the slate of games and talk about starts and sits and injury designations and things. This Sunday I will actually probably be in Nashville, so if we can do it in Nashville, we will. If not, we might have to skip this Sunday. But I don't know. I might give Coop the administrator login and he can roll with it by himself. So that'd be cool. But we do go every Monday at about 9:30, depending on life gets in the way sometimes. But Sunday mornings about 10 o'clock, Monday nights 9:30, kind of recap some stuff and then look ahead to the next week. We would love for you guys to tune in every week for us. Millie, you guys have been on here constantly. Live on Sunday, I'm tuning in. Yeah, for sure. The first Sunday we ever did it, we actually gained 7 subscribers. We only did it for an hour, which is kind of what we're doing now. But last Sunday we didn't have a ton of participation, but gained 3 or 4 subscribers throughout that time. We kind of just talk about what's going to happen, what we think is going to happen. We hit on a lot of our picks this past week. We talked about Chase Edmonds. We talked about him. Chris Olave. We talked about him. All kinds of Bills, Buffaloes talk. A lot of things went into our decisions, and there's only a couple of the Bateman thing. He didn't have a good game for some reason, but we were real high on him.
Jamal Williams. We had Adam Thielen scoring.
Yep. Coop mentioned Adam Thielen, big game for him. He ended up scoring a touchdown. We said start Jamal Williams if you got him. We hit on more things than we didn't by a tremendous amount. Not saying we're perfect, which nobody's perfect.
Definitely had some misses, but
I feel like if you're looking for somebody quick to interact with you, we like to interact with our audience. Somebody quick, easy, ask questions, get some advice. Maybe our decisions are similar to your decisions, and then that kind of helps you solidify your choices for your lineup that morning. So that's what we do. Be fun. Josh says, y'all seen any hard news on Brian Robinson? What I've seen doesn't look like he'll be rushed right back in week 5. I'll tell you this. I told my wife to go pick him up last week. Because when he comes back, he's not going to be behind Gibson for long. He's going to be expected to produce right away. And that team is struggling. They need a bright spot, and I think they're going to look for it in Brian Robinson. So if you got him, hold on to him. If he's in your waiver wire, go pick him up. Because he's not going to be out all year. But he is going to be the guy that you're looking for spot flex plays if you need to right away. But once he gets to the full reign of the offense, he's going to be in there for sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything definitive either. As far as the Gibson value goes, a lot of people aren't going to buy. If you can find somebody that's not really tapped into that situation, that's your best route, but it's going to be hard to unload Gibson, even with the production he's given right now.
Yeah. Millie, man, no problem, man. Again, Sunday mornings at 10. This Sunday may be a little different if I'm in Tennessee. I'm not sure. When we do lives, Weaver says he can't get a ham sandwich for Gibson. That's because they know Brian Robinson's coming back. When I've tried to go live based on using just Wi-Fi, it's really pixelated. It doesn't, stream very well. The stream quality is not very good. I don't know if I feel comfortable going live in a hotel room without like hardwired internet. I know in my small little town, I have the absolute best internet you could possibly get. You get like 800 download speeds and it's pretty good. So I'm pretty comfortable doing it in my little bedroom here. So if it's a little later when I get back, I don't know what time I'm coming back, to be honest with you. So this Sunday might be a little different, but every Monday for sure. Yay from YouTube. Appreciate the comment, buddy. Make sure you subscribe if you like what you got. If you like what you see, like what you hear. Should you trade Jefferson for Debo and Chubb?
I think yes. Anytime you can flip a first rounder for, these guys are both
second, third,
probably top 10 at their position for the rest of the season. Debo might be right kind of on that fringe, but yeah, I think anytime you can get more, like Frank said earlier, when you can raise your weekly points per game, because fantasy is a weekly game. You don't get bonus points for having the number one scorer. But if you can flip, a guy who averages 18 for two guys that are going to put up 16, your team is much better for it.
Coop was actually, really high on Justin Jefferson. Our absolute all-time best performing video was when we had a podcast where we talked about Justin Jefferson possibly should be being the number one overall pick in fantasy leagues. So for somebody that high on Jefferson saying that they would make that trade, that's probably a good idea.
I've been shopping him. I have him in our league. I've been shopping him, trying to see what kind of value I could get back in a 2-for-1.
Now, if you're in like a dynasty or a keeper league, probably think twice about it. I don't know if I would. You're trading, probably top 3 overall player in fantasy football for, somebody that you're going to keep. So keep that in mind as well. Apparently, CeeDee Lamb caught a touchdown. So there's value there. So CD and DK caught a touchdown for me this week. Round of applause for Frank Spencer's fantasy football team. First win of the season. Wrap it up. So Cousins doing Jefferson no favors this year. Defense is going everything. Yeah, you're pretty much right about that. It might not be a bad time to sell him, especially if you can get somebody like Debo, who's going to be the center of attention on his offense. And like I said, Nick Chubb is a guy that I would love to have on my fantasy team right now.
Yeah, but always start your studs. Don't ever think about Jefferson not being the number one receiver that you're starting on your team. Like, there's no world whatsoever where I'm benching Justin Jefferson. I like Minnesota. They had one really low scoring game, and Jefferson was shut down last week. But Okudah is really underrated in that line secondary. He shut down. Who did they play the week before?
He's a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, he absolutely shut that receiver down as well the week before. So I think there's brighter days ahead for Jefferson. We saw week 1 what he's capable of. But if you can flip him for 2 guys of that value, definitely do it. Nobody is untradeable.
Josh says that's what he says about DJ Moore. All right, RJ from YouTube, appreciate the comment, man. I think you're new to the channel. I haven't seen you comment in a while. If you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe. We answer questions just like this all the time. Who's the best waiver pickup, full PPR, between Herbert, Olave, or Dubs? We did, Olave all the way for me. I already have him. none of those guys are available in our leagues. They haven't been available for a couple weeks. Herbert had a really good day, but Montgomery is not going to be gone forever. I don't think they can just throw him out the window and then go to Herbert full time. Olave very well may turn into the number one receiver for Jameis Winston, who we've already talked about. Heaves the ball down the field. I think every one of Olave's targets has been 10-plus yards down the field. So there's a big opportunity there for bulk yardage and a touchdown opportunity as well. Huge week this week. Dubs for, we don't know about him yet. I think we've got a pretty clear picture of what Olave can do. We also don't really know a lot about Herbert. He's had a really good week. Solid week 2, not so much week 1, but nobody had a good week 1 on that game with the Bears. So we're going Olave. The chat looks like they like Olave as well. Weaver, Millie with the Olave twice. He said Olave and then Olave. Love it.
Yeah, I don't think that's close. Herbert is more talented than Dave Montgomery. I believe he's a better running back.
Yes, I agree with that.
But right now, he's just an injury fill-in, and Montgomery's not even ruled out next week. So he's a grab and stash and see what happens. Olave is a wide receiver 2 right now. Like, you get him, he is an instant every week starter. He's had 2 great weeks in a row.
Yeah. I'm glad you said this. 10-man, lots available. The fact that all 3 of those guys are available is there's probably more diamonds in the rough. You might as well send us the top 10 down there. We can tell you who to pick up because I'm sure you got lots of value in that waiver wire down there, which means people are keeping crappy people on the bench. So you stick with us. We'll help you finish your league and win your league. Weaver, probably one of the last questions. Who finishes as the number 1 rookie wide receiver? It's got to be either Wilson or Olave.
I mean, London's in that conversation.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about London. Millie says Drake London. I think Drake London's a solid pick for that one because I don't want to say he has a better quarterback. He has a better quarterback than Garrett Wilson does. But other than Kyle Pitts, he's been the only guy catching passes. Yeah. And, he's got a solid connection.
I like Wilson. I don't think he's in that conversation. I think, the Jets, a lot of question marks when Zach Wilson gets back healthy. We don't know what it's going to look like, if Wilson's still going to get those targets. It's really hard for me between London and Olave. I may lean Olave a little bit just because Mariota has not looked great. And we saw Kyle Pitts kind of emerge last week. If Pitts keeps it up and starts stealing more of that volume, I don't think that Mariota is capable of sustaining 2 high-end pass catchers.
Yeah, so, the chat loved Olave's pick for my boy RJ there. And then for most of the part, the chat loved the Drake London pick for as the rookie wide receiver. Star Wars up in this price. Yeah, man, we've had a really good time tonight. Appreciate all you guys that have been consistently tuning in, supporting the Trifecta Sports Podcast. Again, we are going to try to stream Sunday mornings at around 10 o'clock before the games. I'll be in Nashville this week. Sunday morning stream this week might be a little different. We may not happen at all, but we definitely go Monday nights at 9:30 or around about 9:30. David is usually with us. He's come back from Hawaii this past week. Tried to hop on, had some technical difficulties. So if you guys were on with David and you hung around, we appreciate it. His video looked good. His sound is a little off. I think it has a lot to do with his internet connection. He's going to have to get that figured out. Needs like a hard wire or something, Ethernet cable. Can't be streaming using Wi-Fi. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yep.
Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. We are well on our way to 100 subscribers. At 100 subscribers, I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling like I'm going to get a hat made. I want a Trifecta Sports Podcast hat. I'm going to get a T-shirt. I'm going to wear it on air, and if you guys like it, we'll send them out to lucky subscribers. I might give Coop one too. All right, guys. If you guys have no more questions, we're going to hop off here in the stream. Good luck next week in your fantasy football endeavors. Hope you guys score lots of points, make the right choices, and have a good one, fellas.
Start your studs. We'll see you Sunday.
Start the studs.